Probably a lot of you guys are producers, right? Yeah. Just maybe by a show of hands, how many of you are producers? Okay. Then what the hell are the rest of you doing here? Y'all just want a picture or something, I guess, huh? Okay, so out of the producers, how many of you guys want to be artists as well? Okay, so that's maybe even more people that make music. That's okay, this is EDM. You actually don't need to be a producer to be an artist, as it turns out. That was a joke. You guys can laugh every once in a while if you want to also. Alright, so I'm going to tell you what I think are the keys, sort of, to being an artist. And the number one thing, not just to being an artist, but really at the heart of any art, is storytelling. It's at the heart of all great art and all great artists. So the question that you have to ask yourself, the really most important question, is what is your story? What is your story? What is so interesting about you that I want to pay attention to you? And a good story is not just a plot. A good story is emotional. Good story is something that you bring to the table that touches on a human emotion. But I don't need to relate to you. And that's something that is sort of a fallacy, I think. A lot of people often get told, oh, you should do it this way, or you shouldn't do this lyric, because people won't be able to relate to it. Okay, there we go. Alright. So people will tell you things like, you should do this lyric or do that lyric because people can relate to it. But that's really a fallacy. The truth is, as an artist, people don't need to relate to you. They don't need to also be from India, for instance. They don't need to write, they don't need to have experienced a lyric that you're writing. Like in the song, I'll just take, for example, Burn or something. Burn is one of these songs, it's like a hard-hitting song that I did. And if your body's on fire, let that motherfucker burn. You don't have to have ever had your body burned in a fire. Music is not about literally relating to you. It's about you offering people something that they don't experience every day. In fact, if I can relate to you so much, why is that interesting? Then I'm just listening to my own boring life, which I already live every day. So don't get caught up in people being able to relate to you so literally. What you want to offer people, and what you can maybe offer people, being from a country that is so unique and that so much of the world is not familiar with, offer them that. Offer them something that they don't get every day. So when people tell you, should you do this, should you do that, will people be able to relate to it? Just tell them to shut up, okay? That's the moral of the story. So also, I say this all the time, it's so easy as a producer to look at what is happening. And I think so often people get sound packs, and sound packs come out, and it's the new Deep House sound pack, or it's the new, like, Oliver Heldens sort of sound pack. But you're not going to get anywhere with that. You won't get anywhere with that. You have to look at the climate of music and see what isn't happening. Because every Joe Schmo idiot looks at the state of music and they think they're a genius because they know what's happening. I know what's really hot right now. Future bass is really hot right now. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm such a genius. They're not geniuses, and that's why so many people make sound packs but they don't become artists, because that's all it takes to make a sound pack. But to become an artist, it takes a lot more. You have to see what is not there. And a good example of that is this song that I worked on or had a part of. It was called Tsunami. And to me, when I conceptualized the song, I looked out into the crowd of ravers and I said, these people look almost like they're an army. They look like they're an army about to go to war. But all of the music was so happy. It was like, at the time, it was Avicii, and it was Levels, and it was all this really positive light stuff. But I looked at it and I said, here it looks like a bunch of people, they're almost looking at their commander, like they're about to march into battle. And that's when I made the music, which to me sounded like the movie 300 or something. It sounded like a war movie. And the whole song was like a war. So that was an example, and I don't get them every day. I don't have good ideas every day, but I think that was a good idea. And the idea stemmed from looking at what was there, what was so clear, but what was not being said. It was about looking at it and presenting something to the EDM community, to the EDM song music landscape that wasn't there. That seemed to me like it could be there. This could make sense to everybody if they just saw it the way that I did. So I encourage you guys, when you're thinking about your style, when you're thinking about what your style is going to be, you focus on what is not there. What is not there that you could bring, maybe especially, that other people just haven't thought of yet. Okay? That is a big part of why I started KSHMR. In the same vein as the song Tsunami, I looked at the state of dance music, which all seemed so happy. Everything about it seemed just so happy and so, let's all take drugs and hug each other. And I just wanted to give it something that was a little bit darker, that had a little bit more edge to it, that had a little bit more culture, because I was sick of seeing the same European guys with the same V-neck on, the same black V-neck, that they had formed this sort of incestuous community where you knew exactly who was going to be headlining every festival. And they all had the same haircut. They all looked the same. And I just wanted to break it up or something. So, anyway, that's why I started KSHMR. Okay, so going back to story. Your music should tell a story. And I think one thing that people overlook in dance music, and why sometimes dance music gets written off as a little bit soulless. Like, you know, some people listen to dance music and they say, oh, that's cool, you could rave to it, you could party to it, but they just sort of dismiss it. They say, oh, it's just party music. And I think a lot of opportunity gets missed to put story into even instrumental music. And you can put emotion even into instrumental music if you just think about it that way. And I'll give you an example. So this is a song that I did, it's called Secrets. Okay? You guys know that song? Woo! Thank you. But I'll show you when I look at this melody, what I'm thinking. I think of sort of a story when I hear it. And I put everything into A minor because it's the easiest scale. It's just all the white keys. How many people here know the A minor scale at least? All right, that's good. So when I look at this, so we start out with the dum-dum, and then we go down. And when we go down there, it's sort of coming inward. You go down and it creates a sort of somber, sort of introverted emotion. That's the first thing. It's the fall. And then you take it up an octave, and then the emotion is uplifting. So it's sort of the fall, and then you come up. It's like a battle almost. You have the fall, and then you come up and you have the triumph. And one doesn't work well without the other. You can't just have triumph all the time, and you can't just have a sort of somber tone. But when you put together the two, it's this constant flux of emotion that's going back and it's going forward. And I think that's a good example of the way that you can put sort of a story almost into it. You can take people in, and then you can give them the triumph, and you can uplift them. And it's this battle sort of. And oftentimes you're going to hear me throughout this, I sort of look at music as always being this emotional battle. Now if you look at the chords, I've also put everything into A minor so you can see. Here we go. The chords are actually, well, I wouldn't say that they're simple, but they're not too complicated. So what do you notice here? What's interesting about it? Well, you have these going down, and then here, so I'll just list it off to you. You have an F major going to an E major, going down to your A minor, right? Now what does that feel like? That feels like an introverted emotion. It feels like you're sort of looking inward, it's going down. And then you introduce this chord. This is a D major going to the G major. All these major chords that are not being heard in the first half. You're hearing them for the first time. So this is the sad part, let's call it. Those are chords that you have not introduced yet. You've saved them intelligently so that when you do introduce them, you introduce a new emotion. And that's very important to remember, and I'm going to talk more about that. How when you're making chords, you can save certain ones. You don't give them all away at first because you're saving emotions. And you are sort of the orchestrator of emotion. You're like the manipulator, you're like the master politician, whatever you want to think, with people's emotions. And you do that with the resources that you have, which are chords and which are notes, which are melodies. Okay? So, I'll keep moving on. This whole thinking that I'm doing about the storytelling and everything, you might think to yourself, well, that's great and all, but nobody's ever going to fucking hear this story that you're talking about. They're just going to hear the song and say, oh, it's catchy, it's not catchy. But so much of what makes good music, nobody's ever going to know about. Nobody's ever going to know maybe that I thought of it as a story or how much time you put into your kick drum or something. But when you make music like that, with that passion, when it means so much to you, then people will hear it. They will hear the conviction that you make your music with. And when you just make music because you want it to sound like the next song that's out, or, oh, I check it out, guys, I could make a song that sounds like Oliver Heldens, or even that sounds like Kashmir. People will smell that too. They will smell when you're just emulating. And they will smell when you're speaking from the heart, and when you're almost opening up your chest. And it feels like there's a real person behind this song. I don't know how, but people are smart. All the time I hear people say, oh, people are so dumb. People are just going to buy whatever you sell them. They buy the same pop song. It's not true. If people were really that dumb, everybody would be a superstar. People are actually very smart. They'll smell you out. They smell when you're being honest. They smell when you're trying to copy somebody else. Trust me, that's why it's not that easy to make music for a living. People are smart. They're actually very smart. So, anyway, good melodies tell a story. Whatever, we covered this, right? Okay. Things that will help you as an artist. Okay, so these are little tips that have helped me a lot as an artist. You should definitely, absolutely play your music for your friends. You shouldn't play your music for all your friends. If some of your friends are sort of dumb or whatever, you know, we all have friends that are just sort of our friends because we love them, but you know, you wouldn't let them anywhere near your music. Ruling those out, you should pick a select few friends, maybe one or two friends, and let them sort of check you. Because oftentimes with music, we'll get caught up in trying to emulate the songs that we like. And maybe right now, maybe you like me, or maybe you like Tiesto, or whatever, and it will just sort of feel like an accomplishment to sound like me, or to sound like Tiesto. And you'll get caught up in that. And to this day, I still do. A good song will come out, and I'll just want to recreate it. And I'll sit there for 3 hours trying to recreate it. But that's when my friends come into the picture. And in the process of trying to recreate something, I might mess up. And I do something that doesn't sound right. But your friends can stop you and they can tell you that your mistake was actually genius. They can say, wait, hold on a second, don't keep working on it. That was great. It takes other people around us sometimes to show us what our own genius is and to tell us to stop working on something. Because you keep working on it, you could screw it up. And also having girls. I know it's hard to sometimes find girls to listen to your music, but if you can sucker one into it, it really is helpful. Girls oftentimes, in my experience, will listen to music, and it's almost like they'll just tell you, yep, I like it, no, I don't like it. And by the laugh of you guys, usually it says the second one, right? No, I'm just kidding. But you know, they like girls, and also like girls. We all want girls to like our music, so I'll stick with that. Play your music for girls, and they'll tell you very quickly. They'll just know if they like a song or they don't like a song. It's really important to have that reminder, because as producers, how much time do we spend alone? We spend so much time alone and working on a song. And when you listen to a song that you've worked on for the last 48 hours or however long, you're not hearing it as a listener is going to hear it. You're hearing it like a guy